Tonight, the hunt is on for the man who killed Cecil, a 13-year-old lion and tourist attraction in Zimbabwe's safari industry. Cecil was lured away from the protection of a national park and then shot. The safari tourist is suspected. David McKenzie has more from Johannesburg.
Cecil was perhaps Zimbabwe's most famous lion. The majestic male, 13 years old, with a famous black mane, has been killed by hunters, according to conservationists. They say the lion was lured out of Hwange National Park and shot with the crossbow, and then tragically stalked for many hours and then killed with a gun. They say that the head and the skin of Cecil has been put into evidence. The head of the safari company arrested and their operations suspended, according to the Hunting Association of Zimbabwe. Trophy hunting in southern Africa is legal, and as animal populations have been decimated in West Africa and hunting made illegal in Kenya, trophy hunters from all over the world flock here to pay top dollar to kill animals. Now, conservationists say that the lion population throughout Africa has dropped by more than 80% in several decades, and they say even if it brings money to the local communities, it's not worth it, particularly in cases like this, when famous lions that bring in tourists are killed. David McKenzie, CNN, Johannesburg.
Well, you just heard there from David McKenzie. Tour operators offer a range of hunting safaris in Zimbabwe. Hunters can go after everything from leopards to buffalo. Laws on big game hunting in Africa do vary from country to country. Let me talk you through slightly. This, we're looking at Zimbabwe. Hunting is actually legal in Zimbabwe, very poorly regulated. Zimbabwe's government is pushing for tougher penalties against poachers, especially those who go after elephants. Let me take you to Kenya now, because Kenya banned all big game hunting in 1977. Today, it is a thriving safari industry and brings in a roughly $800 million each year. And Zambia banned big game hunting in 2013, but recently it actually lifted the restrictions on hunting leopards and lions. The government says revenue from hunting permits will fund wildlife conservation. Well, some communities in Zimbabwe are caught between government conservation efforts and the lure of money from game hunters. Jeff Loken is North American Director of the International Fund for Animal Welfare. He's also an author of the 2011 petition to list African lions as endangered under the U.S. Endangered Species Act. He joins me now from Washington. Jeff, let me begin on that very point we just made. How much pressure are communities under, divided over that lure of money from game hunters and the importance of conservation?
Well, groups agree that in order to save these species, we have to work with local communities. But there are ways to do that besides killing these animals, particularly when you're talking about species that are in danger of extinction, like rhinos or lions or elephants. Revenue brought in by non-lethal safaris, where people take pictures and view wildlife, is counted in the billions in Africa, whereas lethal safaris, where they kill them for sport, only brings in millions.
So let me talk me through that a bit more detail, because of course it doesn't make any sense morally, but some would argue that perhaps it makes sense economically. How much of a percentage will some of these communities be receiving?
Well, studies have shown that local communities only get between 3 and 5% of the revenue that comes in from these lavish safari hunts. The real money is going to the central government, it's going to the outfitters from other countries.
Okay, let's talk a bit about Zambia. We mentioned it there earlier. It's banned big game hunting in 2013 and then lifted the restrictions on leopards and lions to fund wildlife conservation. How does that work? I mean, not just from a legal perspective, but also from ethics, because many of the animal populations are dwindling, are they not?
It's true. Wildlife across Africa is suffering and declining. With lions, we know that populations have declined at least 60% in the last 3 decades. That is a significant decline for the species. And when it gets down to that, individuals matter. When we're talking about what just happened with Cecil the lion, not only is it a tragedy because this iconic beast was killed in what appears to be a brutal and prolonged manner, but individuals matter. This is a robust, virile male lion, and when it's taken out of the population pool with a species that is under great stress right now from habitat loss, from being killed out of retaliation, or from unsustainable trophy hunting, it's important.
Okay, help me understand and help me argue this case for those who believe in this. How about those who believe and argue that hunting helps with conservation, helps to save the animal from extinction. We saw that with the U.S. hunting in Namibia this year, who bid $350,000, I believe, for a permit to hunt and kill a black rhino in Namibia. What's the thinking there? How can you argue that?
Well, this is throwing money in order to do what somebody wants to do. They are killing a lion and killing a rhino in that case and calling it conservation, even though it was there's only 5,000 black rhinos left in that country, and killing this for sport and throwing money at it to make it seem like conservation is certainly a contradiction. You can call yourself a humanitarian, but if you're killing people and then paying money to cover it up or to make up for it or compensate, it doesn't make you a humanitarian. Just like killing an animal and throwing money at the cause doesn't make you conservationist. We know that more money comes in from sustainable ecotourism, that there is better ways to make money than killing animals, especially imperiled ones in this situation. It's 2015.
Yeah.
We don't have to kill an animal to save it.
Jeff Locken, you made perfect sense. I couldn't have said it better. Jeff Locken, the North American Director of the International Fund for Animal Welfare.
Thank you.
You are watching Quest News Business.